I'm not going to bore you tonight talking about how Washington computes the savings rate, but if a private sector company did it, they would be lining up with Enron. It is a junk number. They don't even count, for example, contributions to 401ks. But the American people, financially in very good shape. You throw in the value of housing, even in this depressed market, another $20+ trillion. That adds up to $50+ trillion. So when you look at the potential losses, and the subprime crisis, and some of these other exotic instruments they created, yes, they're real. Some people are going to be hurt, but as a nation as a whole, we can absorb the thing. Now, when you use these, bandy about these huge numbers, people say, well, that's just a handful of people and the rest of the country is going down the tubes. You know the old joke, when Bill Gates goes into a bar, the average net worth of the patron goes up to $1 billion. Not a very meaningful number. But if you look at the median net worth, of the American people, that has gone up impressively in the last 10 years. So while we have a lot of problems, don't underestimate the fundamental strength. So why is this subprime crisis so eating at us? Why does it seem to be spreading like a disease around the world? The answer is, unlike times past when you had mortgages, now they put them in packages and sell them everywhere, called spreading the risk. So everyone gets this stuff, not just a handful of institutions. At the same time, the spreading of the risk meant, for a while, these people thought they could take on more risk because, hey, it's been spread around like manure, not to, no one's going to get too much of it. And so they took the fat fees. And then they went on a binge. Exotic new instruments like mortgages where don't look at the person's income. That's new. No money down for a house. No interest payments, no principal payments. That was just a disaster waiting to happen. But again, put it in perspective. So why does this thing seem to linger? Well, think of health warnings. Let's say you read a story, the news comes out, sudden alert. Certain bags of lettuce may be tainted. Well, maybe a small fraction of lettuce out there, but no one's going to buy lettuce until they know where the bad stuff is. So until we know where this bad stuff is, the system tends to freeze up. People back off. Then there's always a tendency by both lenders and regulators to overreact. You saw it in the S&L crisis of the early 90s. Hundreds of banks were destroyed that could have been saved, but regulators overreacted. And one of the things that regulators have to do today is make sure banks keep lines of credit open to solvent borrowers, especially small and mid-sized businesses. So if we don't overreact to this thing, eventually the bad stuff will surface and we'll deal with it. And we'll take the write-downs, like Bank of America buying Countrywide Mortgage, Countrywide Financial, one's the largest mortgage lender in the country, virtually bankrupt, take it over, we'll work these things through. But if we don't overreact, we'll be okay. One of the big challenges now is the state of the dollar. The dollar is too weak. No strong country should have a weak currency. And I hope the President recognizes that. Heck, even Bill Clinton recognized that it was a weak dollar that destroyed Jimmy Carter. So I'm not going to bore you with monetary policy tonight. There's no more boring subject than monetary policy. If you're ever on an airplane, in coach, in the middle seat, and you want some elbow room, just start to talk about monetary policy. In fact, I've tried it, it works. If they don't take you out in a straitjacket, let's talk about that. But just think of it as you would your car, truck, whatever it is you drive. If you don't have sufficient fuel, you stall the engine. You have too much fuel, you flood the engine. Long story short, the Fed flooded the engine, put out too much credit 3 years ago. You saw it in the commodity markets. They all went up. Oil went from 25 bucks 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, to 100, around 100 today. That is not just supply and demand. Long story short, 30 to 40 bucks of that is inflation and the speculation that inflation engenders. So if the Fed just announces they want a stable dollar, our Treasury Department announces that they will want a stable dollar, they put in things like open market operations to do it. Long story short, this thing can be solved very quickly. The fundamental strengths are there. So just remember saying of my grandfather who founded our company, he was an immigrant to this country, penniless immigrant, started our company, thankfully it succeeded. My grandfather liked to say when he was always asked what stocks to buy, where's the economy going, interest rates and the like, he liked to say you make more money selling the advice than following it. And this era of Sarbanes-Oxley get all the disclosures out there. But bottom line, even though the markets are in turmoil now, we're in a period called climbing walls of worry. If you have a disciplined approach to investing, putting a certain amount in each month, continue to do it. You make money by going against the crowd, not with the crowd. And ultimately you make money betting on America, not against America. This is not the time to panic when everyone else is. As Mike mentioned, all of us are backing various candidates. I'd like to just say a word, since you can't throw me off, I eat my meal now. Why I like Rudy Giuliani. One is on national security. I think John McCain's the only one who can match Rudy on national security. Rudy's proposed expanding the military, which we need to do. Our valiant troops are overstretched. They will do whatever we ask them to do, and they're performing miracles in Iraq and Afghanistan, but they need help, and we as a free people should provide that help.